you guys have been working on over the last few weeks. How big is an impact do you guys have up front in making sure those are touchdowns instead of field goals?
Well, I think every position has a significant role there, right? I mean, we've got to be able to fit on guys, be able to change the line of scrimmage and protect, get up and fit on the right guys, right? ID it correctly. You look at some of our woes against Indiana, and that was part of the problem. But then, you could go around every position, and Coach McDonald could say the same thing, Coach Patterson could say the same thing, and so you just kind of go to each group. But for us, we do need to be able to identify things and be able to change the line of scrimmage when we are called upon, and then protect, obviously, as well.
What are some challenges against the Nebraska front this week?
Just some of their multiple looks that they give you, and playing a new coordinator, right? I mean, there's two new coordinators in the year, right? So, or two new different coordinators in the year. So, the last 4 games been a little bit different since the transition, but it's the same personnel. There's going to be some injuries. I know they're dealing with some injuries and these things, but they play hard. They play a specific brand of football, and it's going to present a real challenge for us, right? Just some of the different things that they could do. So, some of the things that we've struggled with at times, I assume that we're going to see. So, that's the challenge that lies ahead. And they're going to be a hungry team. They're playing at home in a great environment. It's going to be a great Big Ten football game.
You got a couple of pretty productive linebackers. Is that a challenge for you getting to the second-tier guys this week?
Yeah, their linebacker production is very good, right? Reimers is a good player, and I know Henry's out. They announced this week, but he's a good player. His backup played quite a bit of minutes at Purdue, and so they've rotated some guys in there, and they get that nickel down, and their safeties played against us last year, right? So there's a lot of carryover in terms of the personnel from last season, but their scheme is a little bit different, and they're coming off a bye week too, so we fully expect they're going to have some wrinkles that we haven't seen, and we got to go play our game, right? We got to play a physical game, but we got to play assignment sound. We got to play good Illinois football.
It's going to be a loud house on Saturday. As we were walking in, it sounded like someone was blasting crowd noise over practice. How big is that for you guys to get acclimated to that before heading in?
Well, I think that the way you prepare for it is critical. I think that's a critical piece. Now, I don't think it can emulate Memorial Stadium, just like it can emulate Camp Randall Stadium and things like that. But you do what you can to try to simulate at least some confusion. Not being able to have to be forced us to communicate and be loud and clear in that communication. But it's going to be a great environment. Now, one that I'm sure we're excited to play. Our guys are. I know I grew up going to games there, so I know kind of how loud it can get, and we'll be prepared for that challenge.
Barry said he left spring kind of feeling like the offensive line was really a strength of the offense. I guess, did you have – this just kind of seems weird to hear after losing 2 guys that you lost. Like, did you have a similar feeling, and if so, like, what gave you guys collectively that confidence?
That's a great question. I had a similar feeling, or better yet, an expectation of that in December last year. And I know that much was to be made about – we're losing all these guys, but to me, our unit will always be a strength of this team because of what we demand of that unit and how we develop them. And we talk about that as a goal in our room, right? We lead the way, and that goes for everything, right? I mean, we're paving the way up front for chase and blocking, for any running back, obviously protection. But we want to be first in our weight room numbers. We want to be first in everything that we're doing outside the field as well. So we take a lot of pride in being a strength of the unit, and at times we've lived up to that, and other times we've fallen short of that standard. And so there's always constant kind of growth and development there, but there's a push, there's an accountability there that we do want to be the best, and we do want to be the strength. And it's taken some time to get to gel. I think everybody's seen that, and that's part of the inexperience. That's part of losing guys like a Doug or a Velo, where they have played a lot of football together, right? These guys haven't played a lot of football together, right? Seven games or whatever, and so they are getting more and more cohesive as a unit in terms of how each other works, right? And I think that's a big piece of it. It's why they're starting to have, it's why they have had success. They're not starting to. They have had success, and we have to keep that going.
So how did you balance, I guess, that expectation with maybe the understanding that there was going to be some degree of patience as these games played out?
That's another good question. I think you try to do that. At times I probably wasn't the most patient, and that I'm sure they can all vouch for that. But the effort was always there. And if the effort's there, the tenacity is there, that physical mindset is there, we can continue to foster the fundamentals, and we can continue to grow those fundamentals. That's what we're always working on, right? And, both the junior college guards that came in, Isaiah and Zai both have had to work on some of those things and have gotten better. I think you've seen Zai play his best ball, right? And he had his probably best week of practice. Because he focuses on those little things, the steps and stuff like that has gotten him in trouble in the past. But Palcho's the same way. You look at Palcho from last year to this year, and it's quite a difference in terms of what he's doing from a tackle perspective. So there's a lot of that I think you just continue to foster. But that knowing that the effort's there, knowing that the physical mindset's there, the standard is there, certainly helps you, on that path and lay that expectation.
Does the game at Camp Randall give you a confidence level that your guys are locked in that type of an environment? I don't remember any false starts or really big blow MAs in that game.
Yeah.
In a big time environment.
Yeah, we've actually been a pretty lightly penalized team up front for the most part. I mean, there's a couple holds here and there that are going to happen, but we do take a lot of pride in the discipline that takes. I don't know if that's true at practice, but on game day, that's why you practice, right? That's why you practice. That's why you go through those growing pains, so you can, when the test comes, you're prepared, right? And so I think that does help, right? I mean, playing in a stadium like Camp Randall with all that really was at that time, right? I mean, the fans were crazy, jump around, all those things, right? They scored early, and just having just the composure and to just keep fighting, keep playing, knowing it's a long football game. What we do throughout the game is wear people down, and we've been able to do that. Now Nebraska knows that they're going to probably do the same thing, try to do the same thing, and we have to come prepared for that environment. It'll be the toughest environment we played in, and I think everybody knows that. And they're a smart crowd that's going to be loud on short yardage situations, loud in the goal line. But the guys that have played in those venues like Penn State in the ninth overtime, that was pretty loud too, and so I think we have some experience there, but certainly that is an area we've worked on. Yeah.
Hillstrom seems like a prime candidate for most improved player. Right? How's he been able to take that leap?
It's just his work ethic. He's a guy that everything you ask him to do, he does, and does it to his fullest ability. I mean, he maximizes everything he has, and I've got the utmost respect for not people like that, but more importantly him, just seeing his growth, what he's gone through, the ups and downs of his career. What I asked him to do this year is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to ask somebody to do from a physical standpoint, is change positions at that critical of a juncture, and all he's done is lead this group to a Joe Moore Award nomination, and he's had some ups and downs. He knows that. I know that, but he's also played his tail off, and I'm just very, very proud of him. So just to see what he's gone through and that growth that he's taken from an experience standpoint. I mean, before it was kind of some blinders, just trying to do my job. Now I think he's taken a much more aware approach, and he's seeing things develop. He's seeing safety rotations. He's seeing defensive structures and making those calls, communicating those calls, and just learning how to be a true captain of the line.
Seems like he's had that leadership ability inside of him. Was it up to you to try to pull that out of him?
I don't know if it was up to me. It certainly, I took it as my job to do that, but he did a lot of that, right? And just his confidence, growing his confidence, I think helps. Having a guy like Palcho, who was in a similar leadership role, forced upon him this year becoming a captain. He was not the most vocal of leaders, and he has done a great job of becoming a captain of the team. And Pill obviously kind of helps that with the line as well. So I think that just feeds off. They do, and they like each other. They hang out together. They're friends. And that's not to say there's not conflict or frustration from time to time, but I think there's a genuine enjoyment of each other, and they respect each other for the work that they put in, and I think that just continues to help the cohesiveness of that group, and Pill's a big part of that.
Coach, is this your first time coaching in that building? First time
In Memorial Stadium?
Yeah.
No, I've been there a few times. I was with Coach B when we played there in 2012,
Okay.
and then I played there when I was at Minnesota in 16,
Okay.
and then at FAU in 14. So third time there. I've not won there yet, so that's a big deal for me. But grew up there and went to a bunch of games as a kid, and remember the glory days of the '90s, and when they were there, and both my folks went to Lincoln, and